You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, team. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Graceland After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Graceland After Show.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, good.
Oh,
this is
perfect for tonight's episode,
yes,
because
it was nuts.
there was not a minute of slow pulse.
Yes.
It was so captivating. I'm Julie Partin, and this is Graceland Episode 8, Bagman. My co-hosts tonight have different hairstyles than usual. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Giorgi.
And hello, I'm Stephen Lemieux.
And Stephanie, how are you going to talk? Remember last week you said you couldn't talk with your hair all in your face.
I know. Well, I've been trying to accommodate, but it's like a little difficult sometimes, so we'll see.
Well, after a 1-week hiatus, we are back, and this was, in my opinion, my favorite episode yet.
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
This
Why?
one and the pilot are tied for me.
Last one. Last one's still my favorite episode yet.
Really?
Last one was great, but this one is just good because now we kind of know what's going on. Because I feel before we got into the show. Mind you, this is a brand new show, so it's a little bit difficult. But right now, I feel very involved. Like I know my characters. I have more predictions that are coming to me.
I think that's the same situation. You hardly ever feel this level of intensity on a TV show. Like normally it comes from movies. This for me was just one of those episodes where you freak out, but not for one moment, for the entire episode.
Yeah.
Well, I say this almost every podcast we do, where it's very well written, in that the writing draws out the effect it wants from you. In every scene, I kind of have a feeling, like a lot of people complain that it's too predictable, but I mean, it is predictable to a point, but I enjoy that because it makes it so much better when you're caught off guard, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of times where I'll call things out that are going to happen, blah, 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 blah. They happen, but then when the one time it doesn't happen, you're like, whoa. And
Absolutely. During this episode, I kept thinking, why isn't this show huge yet? This is as good as anything on TV right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree. And I've watched a lot of other television shows, and I think I'm kind of picky, and I'm someone who likes like corny shows, but I love this.
Right.
And I'm not saying it to be biased. It's because it's really good.
And gross violence turns me off from a show to the point where I'll stop watching it, and I couldn't take my eyes away. And it was nasty tonight. Not even that part. The part after.
This is my impression of Mike.
Well,
are you talking about the?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's jump into it. So one of the big themes that we saw running through this episode was Mike and Abby getting closer to the point where she's becoming his home.
Can we do the opening scene first?
Sure, absolutely.
Because that's like they drop this. I like because they pick up where they left off with the last episode, and this opening scene really kind of shows you a little bit more, so you have more of a background, and everything makes more sense. So if we jump into Briggs later without going over it, I'm just going to be lost.
Let's go for it.
And what do you mean by like just seeing him meditate and everything, like his routine, or?
It's just you see his routine, you see how everything is kind of different, like everything is normal, and then he gets out of the house and everything is Odin.
Right, that was cool because we did see Briggs become Odin in this episode. Like the actual transformation and the officialness. Like before, I guess we heard him say it, but I honestly thought that he was just making that up, that he wasn't Odin. And it wasn't official until this episode.
We found out in the first 5-10 minutes, no question about it, Briggs wasn't Odin for that moment. Briggs is Odin.
Yeah, I honestly, from last episode, I didn't doubt it at all that he was Odin. From the time he did that, I was just like, okay, he's Odin. It makes sense. It's a great story. It's good writing. That makes sense. If they came in this episode and say, I was just kidding, I'm not Odin, I'd be like, okay, so where's the show going? But no, it's great because we can. This show is all about the characters and how they have to interact with this house of other people in their position, and it's Mike's fall from grace, kind of, and how Mike's dealing with not knowing who he is, and especially this episode, is Mike's identity crisis and how he's changing in how Paige says he's like was always the one who she knew who he was. He always felt bad about certain things. But it's interesting to see Briggs and how Briggs has taken on this, and he can change his persona so quickly that it's just who he is.
I don't even think he had to change his persona. It was so natural for him.
Exactly.
It was working out one second, doing a drug drop the next.
Talking to Johnny, getting a banana. Oh, everything's cool. Yeah, I don't want to hit the beach today. It's cool, man. Going to a heroin house.
Like, so cash about it.
So cash.
And what was really, really incredibly crazy about it is that the FBI or the CIA or whichever government is onto him is onto him. So he had to have been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do you see how much drugs he had? If he was just skimming...
Oh, you're right. It was in that cabinet. Sure enough, it was the CI house.
If he was
'Cause we
just
hadn't seen that
skimming off
either.
the top a little here and there, it would have taken forever.
It's not a CI house.
No, remember how he said it was his...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's just amazing how you see how he has the whole operation down. Like, he's got the little bags, he's got the stickers, he's got all the product, he has everything ready.
Just like any other drug dealer would.
Exactly. It's even branded.
Yeah.
He has a nice little Trinity symbol.
Can I get that Odin?
Oh, it's Odin.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
bum that
you
came up
have
to the
the
guy.
sticker.
You got that Odin?
And we've seen the sticker throughout these episodes
Right.
with every time anyone brings it up.
Or when they're about to shoot, like we'll see it like right before they shoot it.
Exactly.
The tat?
So
No, the poisonous sign.
Oh, okay.
And then we see the FBI scan the bag of heroin, because the operation, what they're doing is that he's taking the heroin, he's putting it in the gym, and then they take it out and they put the money in. Mike takes it and gives the
And
heroin
they
to Bellows.
found a strand of hair.
A
strand of hair.
Got him a little nervous, which he's lucky that they also found one of Mike's hairs because it just made it look like, oh, well, they're on the case.
There was a moment there where Mike said they found a strand of hair, and you could see the terror in Briggs' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but they found one of mine too. So obviously we're the only ones messing up here. What I like is now that we, the audience, are officially in on the inside scoop.
Yeah.
We get to see Briggs in turmoil, and we know why.
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than you think, though.
What do you mean?
I'm still going with my prediction from last week or 2 weeks ago. It's so much bigger than what we will perceive. I'll talk more about it at the end of the episode, but I just wanted to get that out of the way before we go into the juicy
I think so too
stuff.
because I made a prediction during that part, and I was thinking that maybe he's just. Now I'm wondering if Briggs is just doing this to win cases. You know,
Oh, there was a
to be an
moment.
awesome agent because really he's not solving anything except for his own crimes.
Yeah. The thing about this first season, or first little part, was that it was so stylistic. It's one of the only times I remember seeing that done this effectively on Graceland.
It reminded me so highly of the Breaking Bad, where they have the Crystal song, or what is it, like a Blue Christmas or whatever the song was.
Right.
And it just shows like the montage of the different steps, things that are going on. It reminded me of that a lot, like the cinematography and the way it was filmed with the music involved, but they still used words as opposed to having everyone be silent the whole time.
Right.
I really liked it. But Mike and Abby are a little juicy this episode.
I know. This was the most Mike and Abby that we've ever gotten. And right when they show, two people skinned together, Stephanie's like, no, not Mike and Abby. And of course it's Mike and Abby. Why didn't you want it to be them?
Because I don't want to see Mike with anybody. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay because Abby's absolutely beautiful, but because he's such a sucker, and it makes me nervous because I agree with Paige. Like, what are you doing? And it's so frustrating because he just continues to do silly things, and then what happens? Abby starts to question him, and then sure enough, hey, how come I've never seen your place? Come on, guy. Like, what are you doing?
Since we've met her character, she wants to see his house.
Yeah.
So that made me think she just wants to know where Graceland is. She might be a secret agent, but they had really emotional, genuine scenes together.
She did, and she might just be falling for him. Like, and that's it.
This episode. That's what it feels like happening. I feel like they're in love with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, and we get a little bit more background on them too. That this has been a few months. Like, I mean, we don't really realize it because we're watching the show, but they've known each other a few months now. They've been together a few months now. And it's kind of strange that she would never have seen where he lived if you were dating someone for a few months, because guys are always the kind of people who come back to my place, not let's go to yours, if that makes sense, especially in a serious, if something is going to be serious relationship.
Which is why she starts to guess, she says, I don't want to be the other girl.
She thinks he's married, he has a living girlfriend at home, he has a living boyfriend at home, he lives with his mom. She doesn't know what, but she just doesn't feel like it's right.
And my views on Abby right now, this episode kind of changed what I was thinking, because originally I was like, okay, she's a agent, maybe she's related to the Kaza, maybe she's something, but really what I feel like it is I feel like she might have just gotten out of something really serious, and she didn't care whether Mike was, like, she didn't really care if he was married. She didn't care. She was turning a blind eye until now it's moving further along. Because now that would explain why she didn't really ask him about his job. That really explains.
Right, like he could have easily been her rebound.
Exactly.
Or she's just there temporarily. Maybe she thinks this is her LA fling.
Well, she's not as temporary as Julia.
Or she saw Mike and was like, dang, he's fine. I'm going to talk to him.
But that does make sense.
Simple as that.
Like, sometimes, not single, haven't been for a while, but like you start dating somebody who you're just attracted to, and you're like, who cares? And then you start to fall for him. You're like, I've made a terrible decision.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking this
when you
through.
do that, you let your guard down. When you say it's just good, it's something that I don't care about. Once you let your guard down, then you kind of both see a side of each other that you kind of enjoy. Sure enough, it turns into something else, which is typical. The movie No Strings Attached doesn't work, everyone.
But everything I found suspicious about her can be explained by that. And it's Occam's razor. The simplest solution is usually the right one. That's what I'm kind of going for in this situation. I don't think it's going to be more complicated than she might have skeletons in the closet from a previous relationship or something, where she was the other woman, perhaps, and maybe she's just kind of over this whole cycle, and that's why she really wants someone who knows who he is, and that's why, of course, moving along with Paige and, Mike and Abby.
From the beginning, from the first second we saw Abby, I thought this is going to have to be Mike's biggest sacrifice for the house.
Right.
And what I didn't really expect, you know, the theme of Graceland is home, this is our sanctuary. She is becoming his home and his sanctuary. He feels more comfortable in her apartment. We see he's even showering there.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he goes to wash off what he does with his life, not where he's supposed to.
Yeah, because she has a normal living setting. So that I'm sure he feels that way. The only thing I'm curious about is that her reaction with both guns.
Yeah,
so first when she saw Paige, she got really scared. Then she saw him and he got scared. But
so
I don't know. There's still something about her.
Okay, out of a moment of grief, Mike finally agrees to take her to his house. And the rule is no civilians upstairs. He takes her into the house. She says, oh, it's beautiful. It's like walking into anthropology. No, that is not what anthropology looks like. Maybe if there was a bunch of little hipster trinkets everywhere.
I like that out of the whole episode, that is what you guys are most adamant about, like talking.
Well, okay.
It's so random.
Very, very rarely do I really realize that there are only male writers on this team, and that was one of the moments. It's like every once in a while they get a girl thing so blaringly wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, she won't let it go. She's like, hold up. What's a girl got to do to see a boy's room around here? And I don't even think she was being sexy. She was being straight up nosy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's at his place. I mean, it's not really.
She's
It's
start being those girlfriends.
It's just another one of those things where she's undecisive and she doesn't really know where she stands with Mike. I mean, I'm kind of on her side with this in the way that Mike has a key to her place.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a freaking key to her place, and she's never seen his room.
When he was showering there.
I mean, you walk into your place and somebody's showering. I mean, it's still
Who is it going to be? The person I give a key to?
Yeah, but still, it's kind of Mike's work. Mike works so much, you never really think that he would randomly be there again for the second time in one day.
Yeah.
And especially with where he's at his mind-wise, this is the person he's confiding in.
Yeah.
He has no one, and that's the thing where it's so powerful at the end, where he's talking to Paige and says, "She is my safe place." Like this place is lies, because they put him in a house where the truth is everything, and they give him a huge secret where he's investigating the one person. And then that kind of just blocks off one wall, which of course keeps more information trapped in. He really can't open up to anyone. I mean,
I don't know how the pilot thing is working.
How is she still falling for that? He's like, one of my coworkers is addicted to heroin. I hope you reported him. It's just like Abby was annoying me in this episode, and we as ladies do cry a lot, but she was being emotional about everything. Remember, she was just crying because she was happy, crying because she was sad. She was being messing.
She's being a girl.
They finally do go upstairs. He's got it covered. He's going to take her out of the apartment safely. And lo and behold, what does she
He leaves her alone in the room. What
I know. Mike, did you really have to pee that bad? Don't you have some spy training on that one?
Yeah, I wrote, as soon as I wrote that down, I was like, did you really just leave her alone in your room?
Well, and especially if she's already being nosy. Why, like,
Yeah.
why, even if she didn't make the decision to open the door and go look down the hallway, you know, obviously she's gonna snoop around with it, like.
There was 1 second there where he went into the bathroom, and I thought, if she is a double agent, this is where we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because she really could have, you know, looked on his computer, done the same thing that Mike did when Bella left the room last episode. But no, she just hears something, opens the door, sees Paige in her skimpy outfit with a gun. Why is Paige walking upstairs with a gun like this?
Because no one's supposed to be up there.
I just hope that she's not testing his psyche, like his head. What if that was her assignment, was just to see how he is, like, mentally, because he's a new agent.
I feel like there's so much double crossing going on that she's not it anymore.
Yeah, I think she's too emotional to have been a secret agent of any type. I really think it's just she's got baggage.
Yeah.
It would be a big shocker later on, but she sees the first gun, she sees Mike's gun, she's scared. She obviously realizes, not a pilot. The girl down the hall, not who she says she is.
What I'm worried about is Mike running into her with Bello and her getting killed. That's kind of like where I feel her character arc is slowly going.
Oh man!
Because if there's anything that can push Mike over, that would probably be what it is.
Right. And speaking of her getting killed, the scene in the bank, we see Mike go into, or actually during this whole transaction, he keeps dropping off the money, the exchange, because they're working on looking for Odin, and we see where they do the mixing or whatever it is, all the girls in there.
It's where they're packing it.
But don't jump ahead.
Yeah, that's
they
way
broke up.
ahead.
She broke up with him and left.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Abby breaks up with Mike.
So like, unless she's a secret agent we see later, she's the one that got away.
When you figure out who you are, I don't know.
Call me.
I'm over her.
I know she's gone, but I don't think we've seen the last of her. Obviously, she's the love.
He's gonna do something, but I don't know if it should be.
He loves her. I think that she will be back around, and I don't think it's gonna be in a dying way.
I love her. That'd be ridiculous.
I think he loves her. A few months is enough to have. I got engaged after 2 months of dating.
I know.
It could happen.
I'm afraid of.
She has the best husband ever.
I'm afraid of Paige telling Briggs and Briggs using her against him.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a. Okay, so she leaves. He talks to Paige, and this, I would say, is the most genuine moment Mike has had with any character in the house.
I thought he was going to flip.
I can't be honest with any of you.
I know.
I loved it.
It's a big house of lies.
I was thankful that he did get a little bit heated because I thought he was going to just flip out because I was ready to punch Paige. I was like, Paige, shut the hell up. Like, come on.
No, Paige, you know what I like about her?
She handled that as
typically
cool.
a female. She's doing the job that I'm sorry that the men are supposed to do. Don't get so emotional. Detach yourself.
No.
It is what it is. It's dangerous for the sake of his life and Abby's life. Like you said, what if she gets shut up?
No, I understand her point of view and I understand that, but from like she didn't let off. Like it's one of those things. It's like, okay, well you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. We know about Briggs doing this, and.
Like you think you're just making things worse, or?
No, I just think it's like, okay, he knows it's messed up. He knows that he broke the rules. I mean, look at what he's done in the past few weeks. Like, look what he's gone through. Like, deal with it.
Right.
I feel
she's more angry that he didn't break up with her than the fact that he brought her to the house.
I don't think so. I think she could go a lot of directions with a lot of things, but when it comes to Graceland, her home, her sanctuary, her only place of peace, and the entire house's escape from getting shot up all the time, I think that's where she draws the line.
She's doing it smart. I mean, why wouldn't you? If I was into anything and I knew what was considered what had to be safe, my own house.
I agree.
You have to
Like,
lock your
she
doors. You have to be careful who you let in your home.
I agree with. I'm telling you, I agree with what Paige says, and I agree with her standpoint.
Was she just
I'm
begging
just
you?
saying I would not have been unhappy if Mike turned around and socked her in the face because she was not letting up at all.
No, she really wasn't.
You have some type of feelings about Paige.
Paige's outfits
just-
are.
Just kidding.
Her
People who
outfits
just keep
are
going,
ridiculous,
it's just
aren't they?
annoying.
They are, but
She's like
I love
sexy
her.
hipster, sexy
so
karaoke
cute.
singer. There was a funny moment there whenever Mike said to Abby, "You're being dramatic," and Steve was like, "Never."
You're overreacting.
You're overreacting. Never say that to a girl.
At least you know that.
Never tell a drunk person they're drunk. Never
Yes.
tell a girl she's overreacting. And never tell someone who's angry calm
don't
down.
ever tell me to calm down. Yeah, don't ever tell me.
Yeah, I already got that covered, Steph. I already got that covered. So,
Yeah, so let's move on. The entire house is changing. The vibe is off, and they're all realizing
Well,
it.
it's getting a little real.
Yeah, and the only person who doesn't care.
Which is so funny too, because you know what? Manny totally tweeted, who plays Johnny on the show, that SHIT is about to get real, like, to watch it.
I feel like he tweets that every single week.
yeah, kind of.
Like,
real this time.
But we see, of course, we see the lighter side with Johnny and Dale, where they're kind of, I mean, of course, that's a comic relief with Johnny and Dale, but then at the same time, you're just like, man, Dale's kind of an asshole at this point.
yeah, it's so weird that he's the nicest person in real life and he's the worst character on the show.
No,
not the
I like his
worst.
character because he's for the same reason why at the end of the episode, Johnny's like, hey, you're right, man. It's better to stick to your own problems, because Jake advises Johnny to do that, and it's true. There's just a way about going things. Like, everyone
He's no fun ever.
he doesn't have to be.
They put him on
I think I'm
they
being
put him
biased
on a
because
workout machine. It's like,
He's cool. Dude. I love him.
Well,
I love
it's
everyone. I love him.
it's frustrating. I mean, in that situation, it's got to be so frustrating. You're trying to sting an operation at the gym. You have so many people there, and like you get stir crazy. And are you really going to be on a freaking elliptical with Johnny? It's like,
Yeah.
let's do something useful.
Yeah.
and I think they're all resenting that they're all getting brought in the same case. It's
Yeah.
not theirs. They had stuff that they were doing, you know?
Yeah.
And
Of course.
especially this episode with Dale would not have made as much sense if we didn't have the last episode with, of course, his background. And now we kind of realize why he is so short with everyone, and especially in this episode, he really goes into that again. We're like, this is the job, man. This is just a job. You keep to your own stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
Which is good, though, because they need that balance. Not everyone is going to be nuts in that house. You know, there's going to be people who are just level-headed, which you would hope if they're taking care
I
of
feel
us.
like he's a one-note character. I like that we have the reasons behind his grumpiness, but I do feel like we consistently get, no, don't play with me. I'm not any fun, you know?
It's going to develop, though.
It
I'm
will.
sure it's going to develop.
It has to.
Yeah.
So, all right. I
Well,
think
speaking of that, suspicions, yeah. Now we're at the point where...
we
Charlie.
should go into the big story before we say what Charlie's being suspicious of.
Of course.
With Mike and Bella. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this was the main plot, and I will say they went here quickly than I expected. Like I didn't know that we were going to get to see this information so soon.
Right.
I thought it would be several episodes or maybe the season finale.
And I think that's why
Which makes me think, this is the reason why this episode was so good, is if everything just happened right now, what's the rest of the season?
next? I know.
Like, everything has to either make a 360, 180, I don't know, like...
So
gonna be nuts.
we're introduced to the operation. We're introduced to the girls packing drugs. We're introduced to Mike smiling at Julia. We don't know. He just says, "Hey, Julia," I think.
Yeah.
But I
Right,
think
yeah.
he says it next time we see them. He doesn't say it the first time.
There was all these girls in their underwear, so they won't steal anything.
Right, and they could see exactly what's going on, and then...
So this scene was really short. It was literally just talking.
Well, because they did it one time, and then the focus was that he was consistently going to this place. So at the second time, while he's happening, they hear something in the back, and Mike asks Bello, were you expecting someone? No. Sure enough, guess who it is? Kaza shows up and shoots them.
They looked so official
send a message.
for a split second before they shot up all these civilians. I thought it might be some sort of undercover squad rep.
Yeah, no, and then we saw the girls all die.
Which I thought was so interesting how they did that too, because they're really trying to show you how everything is affecting Mike and how much there are things that will affect him. Because the slightest thing like that, like he's seen Eddie, of course, put a bullet in his own head. I mean, after this episode, he's seen the torture. We'll get into that later. But it was very subtle. But the fact that they put Mike on first name basis with Robbie, with the girls, with
that was the significance.
Like the whole operation. And then these are people, like, it's not, hey man, thanks guard. Hey man, thanks these girls. This is, hey Robbie and hey Julia. This is people he's known. He's a month and a half or more into this sting operation.
Not to mention that she gets shot while he's holding her hand to try to pull her away.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the only reason they would add that in.
His name, of course, because they wanted to show the significance of it hurting him and how it was going to affect him.
Sort of like, even if you're at a job, you still get attached to your coworkers.
Yeah, of course.
It's not just the girl, it's everyone. It's everyone who he's working with in this just got massacred.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And again, that is what goes back to me, is that's what I'm taking into effect with his mental state, and Paige isn't letting off. Like, that's again where I'm just like, dude, like, you know they're bad guys, but at the same time, like, even with Charlie and Whistler, they're bad guys, or they're in a difficult situation, let's say. But you're still, like, when they die, it's still a person dying.
Yeah.
So even if Mike, he brought her upstairs. Okay, he saw 10 people who he was on first name basis with get mowed down with silent submachine guns.
Well, I mean, you know what though? There's people I met yesterday, and if I found out they died today, I mean, that would
honestly,
mess with my
if I
head.
saw a complete stranger die, let alone 10.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. She really shouldn't have laid that hard into him on that night.
Yeah, because what she meant was, I know what happened to you. She was referring to the torture. But this is more than 10 people he knew on a first name basis that are dead.
You're right. He saw more than a dozen people die.
That was just like a crazy scene. So
I wasn't expecting it all. I was expecting the door to come up and Briggs would be there or something as his cover or something like that.
Well, thank goodness for his awesome shoot that he got them all on their legs.
Can I just say worst blood effects ever though?
Really?
Yeah, terrible blood effects. It was red paint. It was not up to par with standards.
It wasn't.
I think it was
Dexter.
It was enough.
Dexter corn oil or whatever he uses.
It has to be for television.
Honestly, you must know your blood work very well, because I didn't notice it.
I host Dexter. You're right, though.
Oh.
So of course I'm a little bit
yucky.
Particular with my corn syrup red dye blood mixture.
But whenever so these guys come in, they're not CIA. They shoot them all up. We didn't know. Stephanie and I didn't know who they were. Steven knew right off the bat.
Right.
You did, right?
Which it took us a second.
I didn't.
I thought, like, after he said, really, you don't know? And then Julie and I got frustrated, but then it kind of clicked, and I was like, oh, it's the guys.
I feel so bad when I do that to you guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But really, like, the logic goes when people are attacking Bellows, it's really just... Okay, he's not expecting a guest.
Well, I think I was just hoping it was like, I was like, ooh, who's this?
I just, all the gangster clubs run together to me. It could have been one I had never heard of. It just didn't pop in my head immediately.
But in the story, Bello really screwed over the Kaza hardcore. Yeah. Like, they're the only people who would really...
to Odin, exactly.
They're the only people who would really have it out for him. So I was just like, oh man, the Kaza are striking back right now while Mike's there.
And then we officially find out that it is the Kaza when... they save one and they begin to torture him.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, like, they're all screwed. They're completely outnumbered. And then we see the master marksman,
of course,
shoot straight through to the legs because they were wearing armor. There was no other way that they could get to him.
I forgot what movie it was, but there's a great scene in a movie where a guy's on the ground and he can only see the guy's legs. I think it's Die Hard, one of them, where he shoots the guy's ankle, he falls down, then he shoots the guy in the head.
Oh.
Great, and I was seeing something like that in this. I like the sharpshooting. I like how they played that out, and I like. This is gonna make me sound like such an ass. I like that they killed everyone.
Why?
I love it.
Because that would happen, right?
Because it's realistic.
Yes.
It's not, oh my God, Mike's gonna heroically save this girl. It's, these people are here with a purpose. These people are professional hitmen for the Kazakh cartel.
Exactly.
They're not going to be pussies who can't use a gun.
Watch your language. And no, and you're absolutely right. And also because this is the same reason why our parents tell us not to get involved with things like this.
I know. You
die.
feel bad for those girls, but at the same time, you know you're going to work in your underwear every day and working with drugs.
That's the first thing I thought of. Like, just growing up, and the closest that I've ever known of anything like that, which is kind of unorthodox for me to say this on the episode, is like stuff that went down in Humboldt. Like, people that I know, I'm like, dude, just be careful. Like, you know, you growing up, you kind of meet certain people, and it's like those reasons why. Everything that was happening in TJ recently, like a couple of years ago, that stuff goes down.
Everything that's still happening in Mexico.
And I also want to bring up a point as well, is because what was Mike's original cover to get in with Bello?
A Marine.
No, like what was his original purpose working with Bello? It was to train Bello's guys to be able to compete with the Kaza cartel and compete with these other factions.
Right, and then he asked to be, he's like, you know what, I gotta be his man, his guy.
Well, but look at it. The way they got in was to weigh that the Kaza cartel were so violent and they were so well prepared. And you look at Bello's guys, and they're just a ragtag team, baggy clothing. They don't even know how to shoot a gun.
They're just,
like, this is what they're up against. Like, you see these guys who are untrained, and now we actually get a glimpse of what these Kaza cartel are up against. They have submarines. They have, like, so many resources.
And that gnarly armor that they had, like, from head to toe.
It's like that's...
Automatic weapons.
That's what they're up against.
Yeah, so it's a good decision on Bello's part, but that scene and the scene following, like, glad that's a minority of the show. It was brutal. So they save this one guy from the Kaza cartel. They take him. They're torturing him. We hear his screams. Mike calls the team.
Is just all distraught.
I can't do this. I have to get out of here. And everyone wants to pull him out of there except Briggs.
Exactly. Why? Because Briggs has a mission.
Yep, Briggs has skin in the game.
Well, it's just Charlie. And Charlie is,
Charlie
of course...
was being Mama Charlie, but Briggs has his own agenda. And sure enough, we find out when they torture the guy, cut his wrist off, and find out that Jangles is going to be the one who's going to be sending the message.
And
El hombre llave.
Briggs knew the entire time.
Yeah, of course. And they started peeping it out. Everyone
and so we see he's torturing. He has his lead. He loves to torture with lead.
Well, they give Briggs, again, this is another, I keep saying this is another brilliant way of writing things, in that Charlie can fault Briggs for a lot of things, and Charlie can fault Mike for a lot of things. But Briggs did not tell Mike what to do. Briggs did not say specifically, do this. He said, you have two options. It's giving someone a choice when they don't really have a choice.
Right.
Because Briggs knows how Mike works. Briggs knows that Mike is going to do it. He's basically,
right.
he's
The
giving him two
illusion of choice
choices,
is what
but
it's
he
called.
knows Mike won't choose one. So he's like, Mike, you can save this guy's life, and we can keep you on the case. Of course Mike's going to go with that.
Yeah.
It's the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
And it's great when you see it, and it's great when it's believable with the characters that they've built up with Briggs and Mike and their relationship.
They say you could go back in there, but he can't die.
Exactly.
And it seems like an impossible task. Cuts his arm off with his, drug lord machete, and he starts bleeding out everywhere. Mike takes medical measures to save him. Shoo, whips his belt out, builds
Stops
a
the blood,
tourniquet,
because he already doesn't want him to bleed out and die. So
but he
that's his
also
first
has
way
a
to do it.
brilliant moment.
Yeah.
Sticks the bloody nub into
Well, no.
the chemical.
The important part was that, one, he couldn't let the guy die, so he did that. But what would Bello think if he stopped him from bleeding out? And what he used, his excuse was, well, they wanted to send us a message. Let's send him a message back.
Right.
And then how else is he going to save the guy? He has to just dip his arm in acid so that it doesn't bleed out anymore, so that it just kind of stops the cut, and that's it. And the lead. I keep calling it acid, but the lead.
Yeah. I also, what I really like about this scene, and I know you don't like these torture scenes,
Disgusting.
but so we have this episode, and we've had a few episodes now where Bello has been regularly mellow. I've been waiting all night for that. But no.
We call him Mellow Bello.
Oh God. Okay, so we have we have Bello, who hasn't really done anything too evil lately, that we haven't really, like, not. It's not like overboard.
No, you're right. There was a couple of scenes there where we were sort of falling for him.
Well,
he looks so good in his suits.
so
He always wears the matching tie.
You
and
sometimes
little scarlet.
forget how brutal he is.
Yeah.
And that's why we get this scene where he is the one himself torturing him.
Right.
He is the one pouring boiling lead, and we saw he did the lead with Eddie as well, pouring boiling lead on a man whose hands are tied to a table. and laughing about the smell of charcoal that comes off a human's flesh burning. This is
Abby said, "Why do you smell like barbecue, Mike?"
I know, that was disgusting.
yeah. This is really, it's again great to bring up this moment where Bello, he just had 10 of his guys killed. I mean, you can kind of justify him wanting to take this guy away and torture him, but then you see it and you see that he's not remorseful. He's not torturing because he's mad about his guys being killed. He's torturing just for the sole purpose of the information and who's after him and that. So you kind of get this.
He's doing what he has to do. Everyone in this show is doing what they have to do in regards to the position that they're in or the circumstances. That was just gnarly though.
So Mike, of course, convinces him, send him as a message, and then the guy says that he'll find you and he'll get you. And he's like, Bello knows. And this is another thing where everyone's trying, a lot of our YouTube comments, a lot of our iTunes comments, who is Jangles or what? Yeah, who is Jangles?
I still think it's one of those two guys I said last week.
A lot of people think it's Juan, and a lot of people think that it's his old partner who was in Casa Cartel and who was a double agent.
Well, I have a question. Has Briggs ever seen Juan? What if they're the same person and we were just seeing the story from Mike's point of view of him imagining what happened?
Right. Like, and
you don't think they're the same person. There's not a chance.
Was like, investigate Briggs because that used to be my partner and I know what he's up to. I know what he's capable of. Maybe.
I don't think it's likely, but it's just
there's something. Obviously, there's something there because too much happened in this episode. That means that there's something that we have no idea about.
I'm still thinking Jangles is a red herring. Honestly,
are you serious?
Jangles is a red herring.
What's that?
A red herring is something that they leave there for you to go for when it's really not what is the real thing.
In a mystery novel, it's the first person that you think it is. And then there's actually the killer.
Right.
Yeah, and Jangles is a red herring in the fact that he is so widely known. The fact that Bello knows of this guy who did this to Briggs' partner so long ago, or to Briggs himself as Briggs tells the story, I don't know. But it's really just one of those mythical characters, like a myth, that anyone can be Jangles. It's more of like a passed down title is what I think, and it's just what they call their hitmen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And maybe like
Jangles is this guy who really tortured Briggs.
Maybe
and
like the Jangles is the title of like the Don Corleone.
Yeah.
Of the Casa.
So
that's a far-fetched theory, and in that theory, it could have been Briggs' partner and Juan that are old Jangles, new Jangles.
Juan is not Jangles. I'm just going to say that right now.
I don't know for sure.
There's no way that a CO is Jangles. He wouldn't have the opportunity to be in freaking Mexico.
People would say the exact same thing about Briggs being Odin. There's no way.
And I think I did say something similar to that. But I don't think Juan is. I think Jangles is just a ideal.
You know what I think we don't know anything.
But
I definitely think we've already seen Jangles on screen without a mask.
Yeah, with Briggs high on heroin.
I think I've got.
I really don't think that anyway.
Yeah, whatever is going on, Briggs is going to great lengths to get to this mythical / evil / maybe real guy.
That's the thing. I don't think that Briggs is after Jangles.
Who do you think he's after then?
I think he's after the Casa Cartel as a whole. I don't think he's after Jangles at all. That's the thing. I don't think Jangles is one person.
Do you think that maybe Briggs is trying to bust both Bello and Casa?
He's trying.
I don't think so. I think he's aiding Bello too much. He's just making revenge happen on the Casa Cartel and Jangles.
After Buzzers, make sure to tell us on iTunes and YouTube and everywhere. Let us know what you think. This is important and this is crazy.
If we feel so strong about this, you guys have to feel as equally as strong about this.
I'm still dead set that Briggs is using Bello to get to the Casa, and he's ruining the Casa. And he's trying to figure out who above him is with the Casa in the agency itself. I think that's what we're going to figure out in the final episode of the season, is that someone in above Briggs, probably Juan, is connected to the Casa Cartel. Not as Jangles. I'm sorry. I just don't see that.
I hope that it's just a new character in
not me.
All of it.
But the thing about it is that Mike did probably my favorite thing that he's done thus far. He threw Briggs off of his game. Yep. And he said exactly what I was feeling, like we have become the criminals. We have become the evil bad guys now. People are getting killed. We're selling drugs on the street. And he takes matters into his own hands, and Briggs starts sweating bullets.
But here's the thing, though. As much as Mike said that, this is what also makes him a rookie. I know that they're not supposed to, but in every movie that I've ever seen in my life that has to do with an undercover agent that falls in the job. This is why he has to go speak to, why sometimes they're sent to speak to psychiatrists and everything else, because this stuff has to happen.
Yes and no. I think that the collateral damage that has happened with this case thus far is too far.
It's a necessary evil.
It's a lot.
I don't think it's a necessary evil anymore. There are so many dead bodies in the path of them trying to solve this case.
But they couldn't have, how are they supposed to know about Casa? That's what I'm saying, it's a necessary evil. Like, there are things that are inevitable that are going to happen within the case.
Yeah, they didn't know.
It's unfortunate. Whatever they can stop, this is why Briggs said you have two options. Either go in there, make sure he doesn't die, so they can prevent something, or figure it out.
But the thing about it is Mike realizes that the more that they help run this drug situation, the more powerful and wealthy Bello becomes.
Of course.
Like, they're making their own enemy bigger in trying to take him down.
And we do see Mike kind of snap back at Briggs in this next scene that we get when he's talking to Charlie, and Charlie's pissed.
Yeah.
Charlie's not happy that Briggs put Mike through that. He thinks he's pushing him too far, and that's when we see Mike come up. And he says a line that you're not really expecting because it's taken two ways. When he says, is this about Odin or is this about Jangles? Because, of course, Briggs will know through his story about Jangles, and he'll know about Odin. So it has two different takes on the question itself. That's why Briggs is like, what?
Right.
But that's what we're thinking at this point as the viewer. Like, it's surprising to us that Mike is intelligent enough to put that two together. And I don't mean that to say Mike's stupid, but as a character, you're not expecting him to go so straightforward with something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I also like what the writers are doing, which you said, how they can be kind of predictable. I like it because I feel that I'm where Charlie and Johnny's at. The way they started becoming suspicious, it was like first we said it and then they started showing us. So it doesn't make me frustrated like, oh, you're so stupid, do this. It's like, no, okay, we're doing this together. We're all in this together. I feel like I'm in the same position as Charlie and Johnny.
I love it that they're not all being duped.
Yeah.
Charlie is pretty much on to the situation. She is suspicious of exactly what is going down here.
She knows her boy Briggs. She knows what's up. Like, and Johnny from the beginning is like, dude, has everyone not been super weird right now?
I know.
Like,
and Jake's is like,
and you feel it.
Yo, man.
I don't care.
Don't take it to heart.
I don't care. I have a beard. It's cool.
I'm heavy.
It's cool. This place ain't my home.
But so Charlie...
Stop trying to get everyone to like you.
I know, that was funny.
Yeah, that was kind of mean.
That was mean, but that was a little bit true.
If you stop trying to get everybody to like you, then
It's
they
still
might take you
bonding. It's still
seriously.
like Johnny and Briggs bonding. Because, of course, we get that scene where they're
Johnny
like,
and
thank you
James.
for telling me to be straight. Don't stab me in the back. Yeah, I stab you in the front. I mean, it's pretty good.
friends should.
Like friends should.
So
I agree.
Charlie goes to Johnny and she's like, we're going to go check this out. Briggs had heroin on him. He was not holding it for a CI. Let's just go look. And he's like, you want me as a backup? She's like, no, I want you as devil's advocate. I need somebody to tell me I'm crazy. Johnny realizes she's not. Let's just go look. And we see Briggs getting out
ready.
heroin.
Looking like he's going to shoot up.
Looking like he's going to shoot up. We cannot confirm that's what was about to happen because he might have just been tempted by it.
Right.
But
some people like to see them, like to put like a product in front of them and see and like test their
test their will.
Their will, yeah, their self-control. Excuse me.
I know.
Their self-control.
Sometimes with stuff I'm not supposed to have, I'm like, just let me have a sip. I don't think you should do that with heroin. Just a little drop, right?
Well, no, but he could have just been looking at it like maybe a concentration of just seeing like what that is, a reminder of what's going on, or just the temptation. But then he eventually says no.
So I'm gonna throw something at you in this scene, and of course we see Briggs behind the wall when they enter and everything, but the candle was the factor.
Okay.
The candle is the factor of if I can sit through this candle burning all the way down and not hit it, then I've beaten it. So when we, of course...
Man, Steven, you read so much into everything. The candle was the factor.
The last time...
Well, no,
I thought the candle was the candle.
The last time we see...
that makes sense. That's like the way I was saying it. I didn't like perfect. Then that's what he was looking at to make himself just control.
So he didn't... I really don't think he shot up in that scene.
No.
For the fact that we see the candle is burned down to the core, and then they enter. They made it look like they entered while he was at the table, and then he ran into it, and he heard them while they were entering. Completely different. He was already in there when they entered the house.
Yeah. Oh. No, I think he heard him and he ran and hid.
Remember, Charlie didn't put the key in first. She turned the knob.
No, yeah, that's when he was alerted, but it shows you still him like this in the chair.
No, no. But obviously he bounced with the quickness.
I think he bounced because he heard somebody at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying the way they edited it, made it look like he was still in the chair when they entered the place.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I caught. Oh, okay, yeah.
But so the closet that was originally locked when Charlie was there and trying to become sober wasn't locked again. And that was brilliant. Locks, opening to a facade of fake, then the real thing. That's brilliant. They do that on the show a lot. Same thing with the dressing room.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like you break in, oh, it's fine. And then the other thing is back there. It's not just the break in.
Right,
Yeah.
which how it should be, I guess.
That was
Yeah.
that was kind of predictable, just because we knew the room was in that room, though.
If
we didn't know that his hideaway was in that closet, we wouldn't have been expecting it as much. Also, the candle was there to cook the heroin, though, too.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that too. Just as an added bonus.
It had dual reason.
Yeah.
I think we understand the
okay.
candle. But so they go in, Briggs is hiding, and I have never seen Briggs look more scared.
Yeah. Sweating like...
This threw him off his game. His friends almost got him. I think he was more scared of his friends catching him than anyone else.
Yeah, and we see that at the end as well.
But Johnny gives one last look into the room. He's like, something is not right in here.
Look at my note. This is sorry. I just want to show everyone. Mike is an idiot. That's what I wrote right when he
For what?
for when Abby got when she saw the second gun. I was like, I was so mad. I was
Oh
like,
God.
Sorry.
I know, Mike. Come on.
I have.
go back.
He invites her into his house. I was like, you idiot. But
Why do I have Mike breaks the rules?
Okay.
Mike. So we are preparing ourselves for, I would say, like one of the craziest sting operations I've ever even seen on TV.
And we
This
got to
was
rush through it in like 10
nuts.
minutes. So
No, we can do this. It's only one
we can
scene.
knock it out.
It was just so intense. It's going to even be hard to describe to you secondhand. Like if you listen to this podcast and don't watch the show, go and watch this specific sting operation because it was crazy.
Yeah.
He pulls an audible.
Whoa, what do you mean?
No, like you said it yourself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, in the
Yes.
scene, like Mike pulls an audible. He
Yes.
tells Bello there was no heroin. when
Okay, I
they're
didn't know who was pulling an audible. Yes, yeah. No, he just like takes it into his own hands, tries something spontaneous, throws Bello off his game. I don't know if he was doing it intentionally to throw Briggs off his game, but I think the entire team's frustrated because they realize that Odin is one step ahead of them always.
Yeah.
And this is great. This is what I was talking about earlier, where the show's predictable, throws you out of left field. This throws you out of left field. The hole behind the mirror throws you out of left field. Like what?
Yeah.
Like this is great. This whole last 15 minutes, I'm glad I waited till you guys were with me to watch it. It was fantastic.
Crazy. I
That
didn't
was
even take
so
notes
good.
because I couldn't
I
take
spun
my
so
eyes away from the screen.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
Okay.
So we find Mike calls an audible. He says there's no drugs.
He does what Briggs does because Briggs
Yeah.
is the one
Yeah.
who will keep the information away from everyone so that the plan will work out accurately.
Yes,
Which is
Mike
what
does that.
Yeah.
So Briggs is pissed off because Briggs always has a reason for everything. Like he's pissed because he's gonna say that you stole the drugs. Odin's gonna say that you stole the
I know.
drugs.
What do you think Odin's gonna say?
And I mean, but that's a good reason. Everything he does still has that good reason behind it that you can't question enough to really think that he's Odin. And then he rushes to the apartment and just goes crazy, heroin snagging.
Yeah, he's just throwing it all on the bed.
He's gonna build a house with those bricks, man. He's rocking this apartment out with heroin right now. He's knocking it out. And I thought he was gonna get suitcases. No, he just freaking fills that apartment up, and he's gonna schedule to meet with Bello. So they're watching Bello. They're watching Bello. Where is he coming
So
from? Where's
we
Odin?
have Mike on surveillance, Johnny on surveillance, Charlie on surveillance, and
Charlie on
Briggs
foot.
Everyone's
on surveillance. Everybody is there. There is no way that this Odin character could come and trick them into not seeing him again.
But Briggs texts him, gets him into the store, and then manages to convince Johnny of a fake stolen license plate that he's going to track down.
I think he actually looked it up.
But Briggs is Briggs and is the genius and the reason why he's where he's at. And sure enough,
He's a good multitasker,
That was so
one.
good because, and we kept trying to. Okay, so in this part of the scene, I loved that. Okay, this is gonna happen. We kept kind of shouting out, "Oh yeah, he's gonna come out with the gun. He's gonna come out with the gun." And then the sleeper rule, like that was so nuts.
So he makes Bello go into the clothing store and pick up pants and basically buy time, kind of in a way, for him to get a reason to get the front of the store alone.
Right.
Like Charlie follows him in. Johnny follows him. Everyone follows him.
Everyone's on top of their game.
Briggs
very well.
says, hey, I'm going to follow this lead with this stolen car because it checked out, goes around, and that's when Bello goes into the dressing room. There's a hole behind the mirror. Mind blown.
Charlie's in the next dressing room trying to hear.
Charlie
which
is
I
this
thought
close.
that she was going to hear Briggs' voice.
Me too.
Yeah.
I thought
did
that she was going to
too.
hear Briggs' voice. She didn't. So she's standing there, and then she hears nothing because he gets through. They do the exchange, and Briggs says, leave the same way that you left. And he's like, no, I'm
I
tired
don't
of this
get the
theatrical.
theatrics.
Yeah.
But he, in a brilliant Briggs move, it's also a little bit of a risky one, says, take my word for it. Yeah.
Here's months of it in
Here's
this apartment.
an apartment full. You can send me your regular payments. That gets him out of having to do any more of this, but still get the money.
And you know what it also gives him? Well, I don't know if he'll bust Bellows yet, but he's getting rid of the apartment.
Yes,
He's getting rid of the apartment that Johnny and...
Is under his name, is under with everything.
It's probably
about
not
him.
under his name or
Not
anything.
his name, but I meant like leads back to him.
But you're perfectly right, Steven. This is his opportunity to bust Bello, and he's not taking it. That is not his endgame.
No. What I
No.
mean by his busting Bello is
they need a
he's
reason
going
to bust him to put him for good. Like,
he's going to
away.
find Bello in an apartment full of heroin, and then he can
And then
take
they
all
can
the
bust him.
heroin and move on to the next one.
You know what he's doing? Briggs is trying to eat his cake and take, or what's
Have
the
his
saying?
cake and
Have
eat
his
it
cake
too.
and eat it too.
Yes.
He's trying to get the money out of it because he could. He sets up the situation, but like I said, he's trying to win the case because it makes him look good as an agent.
But it's also a huge risk. He's giving him months worth of heroin.
He's trying to be Robin Hood right now,
And
but
that's-
for himself.
That's why I feel he's setting up Bello with this apartment, because he's giving him months worth of heroin, and there's no way a businessman like Bello would follow through with paying him for all of that. And I don't think Briggs even cares about that. Doesn't care about the money. Whatever he's doing is going to be within the next month. Whatever he's doing to give him the heroin, whatever he's going to do with Bello's, going to be within the next month before the next payment would even happen.
Everything is unraveling.
So, of course now, but Briggs, Mike comes around, everyone's coming around. Briggs is trapped in this warehouse, and what's he going to do?
There.
Steven's
Briggs,
all in it right now.
I know.
He's like-
Briggs says, I'll be back. I'll be right back. It checked out. They are all there with guns surrounding him. He can't get out.
That was so nuts. Okay, so you know what I loved? He did a left turn. Charlie was at the dressing room. He did a corner one. Johnny started coming out this one, and then he did the fence, and bam, Mike comes from that end too. And I was like, oh, he's gonna get caught up. And then we all thought that he was just gonna show up with a gun.
I didn't know what he was going to do. I thought maybe he was going to say, yeah, man, have you seen him? I haven't seen him.
That's what I thought too.
But instead, he wraps his arms around Mike's neck, does a sleeper hold on the guy.
yeah. Oh my God, this is so great.
Did you really
He does a
just
sleeper hold on the
on
guy.
Mike?
And he makes it where he can't see his face.
Yes, and
He's like
Steven,
this.
and Steven and Mike is fighting, and he's just going. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
At first, I really thought that it was going to be, he was going to grab Mike, and then he would hear Mike's voice and then let him go and be like, oh, I thought you were him. But no, sleeper holds him, knocks him down, feigns a gunshot. Hey, I think I might have shot Odin. He ran out that
Yeah.
way.
Wakes
Man
him
down,
up, "Are
man
you
down.
okay?" That's so nuts. And then later we see the scene where Mike walks in after this whole thing happened. Oh, they're kind of bummed because Odin got away. Sorry, I'm going to speed it up just so that.
Well, yeah.
When Mike walks into the room and he's like, hey, thanks for saving my life again. That was awesome. And then he's like, oh, don't be bummed about getting Odin away. And gosh, we forget how awesome Agent Warren is.
I
Well,
know.
after that, I found out he's about
He's like,
6'2".
it's not all
built.
bad.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot about somebody from the way they fight.
I also want to mention something about this scene as well, in that the episode opens with Briggs's routine. And his routine is he wakes up every morning at 6 a.m. He meditates. He does his workout.
Which
in
made
this
me-
scene, it's like 11. It's like noon, and he's still in bed with a blanket over him. This is the first time we've seen Briggs
why
in
is that
bed
deep?
without
I know,
Charlie.
yeah.
Yeah, and pretending to read. What?
Yeah, so Mike
The last time we
says,
saw him in bed was with Charlie.
Oh,
so Mike
okay.
says, plus I probably broke some of his ribs. Right then we
Yes.
knew that's why he's in
Yeah.
bed.
But, yeah, and all like. In pain.
But so we did see him get up,
And
raise up
lift
his
his
shirt.
shirt.
He had several broken ribs. That's going to be hard to hide.
It
Those
was
don't heal for months.
We don't see
was bad.
Briggs shirtless very often though, so I mean it's not going to be that hard to hide.
I thought you were like, so finally. So anyway,
Thank you, Julie. I get that enough on
I
Twisted.
don't know.
That's so nuts.
So Mike's brilliant. Briggs is brilliant. Briggs is maybe evil. Anything else before we move on to news and gossip?
No, Paige is mad at Mike. Now they're suspicious. We're all, I think everyone, both viewers and the house, is on the same page at this point.
But on the same page in that we have no idea what's going on, and the house is not a sanctuary anymore. Graceland
And then
is not
Jake's
home.
is the coolest person out of the whole show because he's just chilling.
Let me
like
touch them,
chilling
Brave.
like a villain, but not a villain because.
So, moving on to news and gossip.
News and gossip.
TV News.
Do we have any news and gossip?
We have a little bit of news and gossip. There are 4 episodes left in Graceland. One next week, then we're off. And then on September 5th, we will see part 1 of the season finale with special guests
Joe Henderson, which you may remember from our first podcast about Graceland.
And the hilarious and hot Brandon J. McLaren. This is the best show that has ever happened in this entire studio. Sorry, everybody else. I'm so stoked. We have talent and an executive producer. Has that ever been done before?
I think so.
Oh, well, you know what? It's a brilliant network. It's a brilliant network.
We can all be
and so then we will see the season finale of Graceland on September 12th.
Yeah.
So let's move on very quickly to predictions.
Oh, I can't be quick with predictions on this show.
I know you can't.
Yeah,
Your AfterBuzz.
Let me just read from my book.
Honestly,
You ain't lying.
this episode was so intense, and we walked straight from that room into here. I've hardly had time to think of any.
Even in the previews, which did you guys?
Oh yeah, we did see next week. It's going to be crazy.
It is gonna be
Charlie
crazy.
knows for sure.
Yeah.
Odin, wait, no. Bello is getting tortured.
I think it's gonna get almost. I think everything is just gonna somewhat come out because we saw the scene where Mike was shot and he's like, "Mikey, are you okay?"
And
Briggs is asking.
It looks like Mike gets shot in Graceland.
Oh,
Did you guys think that? That's what I thought the scene looked like.
Go.
I think my only prediction is we have not seen the last of Abby.
I don't think Mike gets shot. I think it's something else that makes him fall down.
He had blood on him.
Yeah, doesn't mean he was
Oh my
shot.
God, you're right. Abby's gonna show up at the house. Abby's gonna show up at the house, and stuff is gonna go like crazy.
Abby is going to show up at the house, I believe, but I don't think they're going to shoot Mike till at least the finale. Sorry. I think that, I know you just want to see him get shot. I really think that Briggs is going to kind of pull this again. We're going to have Briggs and Mike in the next season, so of course he can't have everything out in the open. He's going to work it over with Charlie and explain what's going on, and it's going to make perfect sense to her, and she's going to be pissed, but she's still going to be like, okay, I see what you're doing. We're going to see Bellows get taken down, probably by the cartel. Briggs is going to set Bello up with that apartment to the cartel because all the heroin's there, that's their heroin.
I have a question. Do you guys think that Briggs will get found out this season as Odin?
You know what? I think that Briggs might never get caught.
I think he's getting found out this season.
Well, okay, if he does, then yes, I think this season. I don't think next season. Dang, that's crazy.
I think Odin will be abandoned. I think the name of Odin is done after he sets up Bello with the cartel. That was the last time. That was last of Odin. I also think that it's definitely Briggs is going after higher-ups in the FBI as well as the Kaza cartel. That's his main goal. It's always been Kaza. Because he doesn't want to take down Bello. If he wanted to take down Bello, he could have done it. He wants to take down the Kaza, and he wants to take down whoever screwed him over or set him up.
It's a man with a plan, and the plan is vengeance.
Going back from what I said last episode, sorry, this is taking a while. But honestly,
I know. Come on, see, we've had the Oscar music for a full minute.
I admit my mistake. I believe that the story actually did happen to Briggs. He did get hooked on heroin. We see that with the needle. I can't argue with that. They are telling you a fact that he has actually had his addiction with heroin. And I really think that now he's going after the Kaza for revenge, and I think he still was set up by someone in the FBI for the Kaza with them. Jangles is just an ideal. He's not a real person.
And we'll find out next week. AfterBuzzers, thank you so much for watching us.
Where can we find you, Julie?
We love you guys. We would love you to give us 5 stars. Please continue the conversation on Twitter. You can find me at JuliePartin.
And you can find me at Stephanie Giorgi, Giorgi.
And you can find me at Stephen Lemieux, StephenLemieux, or hosting Twisted Get Out Alive with Bear Grylls. And Dexter, thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks, bye.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.